Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hello, I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
What is up, everybody? It's Wednesday night.
It's a perfect night to drink brown liquor.
And that's what we're doing because so much of that happens in the movie that we're talking about this evening.
I just associate Arnold with the finer things. A nice scotch or a bourbon or a brandy.
Yeah, absolutely. And a cigar, which we're not smoking because we're indoors tonight. But we are drinking brown liquor. I'm drinking still that Dickel Barrel Select. You are having the Bardstown Bourbon Company Fusion Series.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It's tasty.
I discovered it off of our Facebook group that we like to stalk about the hard-to-find bourbons, but this Bardstown company makes all sorts of different labels.
They make some good stuff.
This is one of their lower-priced models, but it tastes fucking amazing.
It tastes very expensive.
It's expensive.
It tastes real expensive. It tastes high-end. I like it.
It's luxurious.
The spirits industry is a racket, but we don't care. We'll pay it anyway. We'll pay it. Take my money. I don't care.
Oh, my God.
It tastes like brown liquor, and we like it. Speaking of things that will throw our money out without it being fine, but we like it anyway, is the movie Raw Deal.
Yeah. I'm into it.
I've enjoyed watching this movie.
It's a hidden gem in Arnold's catalog.
It is.
It's
solid,
sort of
like mid to lower tier, but it's like just something you can pop in and have on in the background and be like, this movie's fine.
I don't know that I'd ever choose it above a Commando or anything like that. But,
I would much rather watch Commando.
Yeah, but this has got its own charm.
Yeah.
It just is sort of generic.
Yeah, this movie I think we talked about it in the first round one fight is a movie that was not heavy in my rotation. My grandmother didn't own the VHS, so I never watched it until recently, and to have any kind of a recollection about it until we started studying up for this movie.
I can say for certain I never saw it until the last year or two.
Yeah.
When I was trying to round out my Arnold
I like
viewing.
it to be a blind taste test for both of us because it's nice to go back. Because the thing about it is that as objectively mediocre as it is, because of the style of it, because of the writing of it, because of the fact that Arnold's in it, it's still like you go out to dinner with your friends and you're having some drinks, and it doesn't matter how good the food was. It was fine. You still just enjoy it because of the company you're keeping.
And it's like you're watching, it's filling in a missing piece of Arnold's evolution.
Yeah. And it is a total evolution. You can see him figuring out his craft in this movie.
That's what I like to say. Like we're watching him learn how to act almost on screen. Some scenes he's good. Some scenes he's terrible.
Yeah.
Some scenes it seems like he's struggling to walk.
It's so funny to think about. And I was thinking about this just today in context of just myself, thinking about like acting and thinking about being on stage. And how when you're playing a character doing something like that, it's like you don't realize how unaware of your body you are until you're doing something like that. And you're like, it's like the scene in fucking Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands. It's like, you don't know what to, it's like, what would a normal person do? You wouldn't move your hands. You just leave your hands by your side or put your hands on your hips.
The origin of all the cigars?
I think that it's like, it was like a tool to like, Arnold, what's something you'd be comfortable doing?
I know how to smoke a cigar.
Perfect.
Light a cigar. Handle it.
Your character would love to. Yeah. Let's like. And I had directors being like knew that I was having a hard time with a singing role because it was difficult. Be like, well, your character has a limp, because they knew I'd have to think so much about the character having a limp that I'd think less about trying to sing. So it's like diverting that physical energy from one thing to another. So
channeling your neuroses on something else.
Exactly.
Okay.
Wow, we've gotten way more esoteric than
No,
I thought we
love
might.
it,
I do too. But you're right. It's like in this movie, you can see Arnold working out his craft, if it could be called such a thing, and we're all better for it. I think.
I love it. It fills in a big gap for me.
I would like to fill in a big gap for our listeners right now.
Okay.
Tell everyone what happened in the last chapter of the movie.
It.
And buddy, it was a doozy. So we'll cut right to the chase. That like Patrovita, the crime boss, was pissed that a bunch of his drugs and cash got stolen. So with the help of Kaminski, undercover as Brenner, he sets up this plan to steal back all his money and drugs from the police by impersonating like basically a serial bomber and setting off bombs in different places. So they set off a bomb. At the same time, Keller has devised a plan where we're going to kill Lemansky, the rival crime boss, as a diversion so that the theft can happen at the same time.
The diversion seems to be a bigger move than the other thing.
To me, too. I'm with you. So while the bombing / police precinct robbery part of the plan goes perfectly, the Lemansky hit part of the plan does not. Car chase through Chicago ensues, with Lemansky ultimately buying it in a fiery explosion.
Yeah.
Let's see what else happens.
They've come to believe that Kaminski, despite the fact that he's helped them with a lot of murders, they still think, well, he must be a cop.
Right. Or something.
But they know a cop is maybe trying to fuck their shit up because of Harry's big mouth.
So Keller relays this information to Patrovita. Patrovita agrees, who we find out is in league with Baxter, the district attorney or U.S. attorney or whatever the fuck he is, who was prosecuting him. We find out that he's the mole, and they work out a deal to where
and now we've gone off the rails. I think we have to streamline it. It's just gotten very confusing even to me.
Well, that's what this plot is. That's the way this movie is.
What you need to know is that Schwarzenegger, who's playing this guy Kaminski / Brenner,
right?
He's in this Petrovita gangsters organization to try to fuck their shit up,
right?
But now they know he's a bad guy
or something. They think he's something.
He's working for...
They think he might be working for this guy named Harry.
They suspect he's Harry, so they set him up.
Right.
They said, well, if you're not working for Harry, then you won't have a problem killing him.
Right. But they don't tell him it's Harry. That's what I'm saying. Is like, if you're confused, it's because it's confusing. So it's like, what the fuck is happening?
They sent him to kill this FBI agent, Harry Shannon. He balks.
Right.
They're like, haha, we knew you were fake. But then they let themselves get killed by him.
Right. And so then Keller's dead. And so that's a waste of a bad guy. And
the strongest of bad guys,
and the action picks up with Harry lying bleeding in a cemetery. And Kaminski just gingerly running in too tight shoes back to his car.
They got him one size too small or a half size too small of everything, I think.
And that's where the action for our final chapter picks up.
Fuck it. I'm here for it.
You can believe it.
Okay. So we are in the cemetery. Kaminski's just abandoned his mentor, or whatever he is, to him, Harry Shannon.
Right.
Kaminski's running back towards the car that he arrived at with Keller.
Right.
Now, Monique comes roaring up.
How the fuck did she know where he was?
Fucking great question. There's no chance.
Did she follow him?
That's the only thing it could be.
Yeah.
Because last time he saw her,
he
said, here's the keys to my car. Go back to my place or go back to your place and chill out.
Yeah.
I'll catch up with you later.
Right.
But she must have gone her own rogue way and followed him.
Own way. Yeah.
Because she knew that Keller wanted him dead.
So she'd been driving slow around the cemetery until she heard gunfire?
She followed at a safe distance. And once all the shooting started, she, I guess, came closer. But she came tearing ass up in this convertible.
Right.
What
the hell are you doing here?
What the hell are you doing here? Saving your ass. Which isn't true.
Yeah,
Or isn't
not true.
accurate, I guess.
I didn't need a ride, but fine.
I will say that was a badass bit of driving.
Yeah,
did.
it was great.
She like squealed on the brakes, came skidding to a stop.
Love it.
This is Kaminski's car, I take it. We have to assume it must be his car.
Yeah.
We've never seen him driving
anything but
vehicle.
Rick's tow truck.
Yes. Now they go back to the city. Kaminski drops Monique off at her place, tells her, pack everything you can pack, whatever you can't live without, go to this airport, charter a plane. Is it that easy? Like, no money down, they'll just let you book a flight?
I think that there's a moment missing where he handed, like, he must have given her a wad of cash and was like, go to the Rock Falls airport, charter a plane. I think you can do that. You probably
if
have
you
to
walked
call
in with a handful of
advance.
cash, yeah.
If
you just walked up and said, I'd like to charter a plane, they'd like say, I'd like to take a deposit.
Some drunk pilot sitting around that can drive you where you need to go.
So he says he's going to go do what an old friend asked him to do. Knock on dead.
Okay.
It's an awkward delivery.
Yeah.
Now, as Kaminski towels off after a shower that he's taken,
muscle porn. This is like some of the only muscle porn in the movie.
That was the only scene in the movie, really, where Arnold's shirt is off.
Right.
So I feel like they figured, it almost feels like that little snippet was added after the fact. Like, we got to have him topless.
It's like, wait, he hasn't been shirtless in this movie?
Yeah. I guess he was just really craving a shower after killing people. Before he goes to kill more people, he wants to clean up.
I like to be clean for important
fair
stuff.
enough.
Yeah. For gigs.
Now, as he's doing all this, he's replaying a conversation with Harry, where Harry had advised him basically that Patrovita does a lot of his evil shit out at this gravel pit.
Right.
Kaminski pulls some suitcases out of the closet.
Oh my God.
They are filled with weaponry.
This is one of 3 parts of the movie where it's like, how can we eat up some screen time without Arnold needing to talk?
I also feel like we've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
Though, where it's like he's got all types of guns.
Every weapon you can imagine. Yeah, it's like the scene in Commando where it's dress your G.I. Joe.
And it's he does the same shit in Predator when he's gearing up to fight the Predator, putting the mud on himself and shit. Like, I feel like that's just an action movie staple, though. Like, I can think of a lot of ones in Rambo movies where Rambo's gearing up for battle.
The gear up is, it's like it's an NRA wet dream. It's like,
it's a trope of these types of movies, and we love it for good reason. He's loading up all of his guns, pulls on this leather jacket, checks himself in the mirror.
For good measure.
Heads out.
I got to make sure I look all right.
There's nothing like just watching a one-man army sort of prepare for battle.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, he looked like he was in his Terminator mode.
I had the same note that it's like he looks, especially later on, like right at the climax of the movie, it's like he looks like Arnold from Terminator.
Yeah, I'm into it. So, Kaminski rolls up on the gravel pit in the convertible. He shoots out his own windshield.
What the fuck?
And starts kicking it out of it's whatever.
Number 1, waste of ammo. Number 2, he has removed the only potential barrier of protection that he has in the car.
It's a fucking weird thing to do, man. He's like, I will tell you, he's not going to get the deposit back on that rental.
No. He probably used the $25,000 that Harry gave him to buy that car.
No, I think he said when he was leaving his voice message that he's getting a rental car.
Oh, yeah, good call. Yeah, you're right. Good call.
There's also a good chance that someone at the gravel pit would hear gunfire.
Fuck yes, and there's nothing inconspicuous about this.
So he's lost the element of surprise, maybe.
But then even more so, because he pops that Rolling Stone tape in. and can we just say this is fresh news, but rest in peace, Charlie Watts, Rolling Stones drummer that died over the last couple of days.
I feel like licensing that song for the soundtrack must have cost a pretty penny.
Most of the budget.
You think?
Probably.
But yeah, it seems like, I will say, at least it seemed like a realistic depiction of punching out a windshield, because it was not easy.
No, he's kicking it out and then use the shotgun butt to
we saw a Mad Max movie where it's just like one-handed, just pushes the whole windshield out. Now this seems more like it, like he's trying to kick it out. It's not working, so he grabs the shotgun and he starts trying to bust it out. Anyway, this scene is kind of like, to me, the opening scene in the lumberyard, Where this gravel pit is like a great location. It's just
it's awesome.
really cinematic. So
it's sort of reminiscent also of like the Foundry in RoboCop.
Yeah, dude.
Like that kind of location, like Axis Chemicals
like a quarry or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So security goes on high alert, whether it's because they heard his gunfire or his Rolling Stones bumping. But Kaminski rolls in and he just starts blowing dudes away.
He does. He can put the machine gun. He's like one-handing an M16 like through the thing. It's like
that's why I guess he busted the windshield out so that he could shoot through it without
just
whatever.
I'm not a strong I mean, like I couldn't do that. Like I would
one-armed.
I couldn't probably lift that gun with one hand.
I will say it was pretty awesome, like the way he was killing dudes, including one guy who like fell into the rock crushing machine.
He is a hell of a shot.
Dude, exactly. He's like fucking making amazing shots. He's driving on a bumpy ass gravel road, one hand shooting with a machine gun while he's driving.
And kudos to Arnold for doing a lot of the driving in this scene.
You think it was him?
Well, because in a lot of the scenes when he like does turns and stuff and it's going around, it's like clearly him as he like drives back around. I'm like, damn, get it, Arnold.
And that shit was bumpy.
Yeah. Good suspension on the rental car.
There's in a trailer on the property. Bad guys are like packaging up huge amounts of cash. There's drugs everywhere. They leap into action when they hear like the alarm get sounded. Kaminski is just out there decimating
the
Patrovita's army.
The bodies, they are piling up.
One of the dudes who got shot by the trailer was Peter Kent, the Arnold stunt double.
That's awesome.
Who's we mentioned him numerous times on this podcast. But yeah, amazing shots that he's making. Like, have you ever fucked around in a car in a big gravel lot?
No.
Like the way he's driving, it is fun as hell.
I have been in like a Jeep in a neighborhood that hadn't been developed yet, and so it was just all like mud, dirt roads and stuff, and like gone mudding and four-wheeling like in that environment. But I've never been in like a quarry and done like the gravel thing and like done donuts and shit like that.
In high school, our high school parking lot, there's a big gravel lot for students to park in. And I went up there one weekend in my car, which was a rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And you could just like get going as fast as you could and whip the wheel and gun it and just like go spinning out and stuff. It was fun as hell.
That's badass.
So that's what I thought about when I saw Arnold just tooling around in this gravel lot.
He was probably loving life.
So now Kaminski drives his car straight into the front end, the blade of a bulldozer.
Why?
It was a hell of a crash.
Yeah.
Like, it caught me by surprise. Every time I watched it, I'm like
jarring.
startled by it.
It's like, dang.
Because it goes from, 20, 30 miles an hour to zero in an instant. Kaminski is like rattled by this. He bails out of the car right as it's about to get sandwiched in between that bulldozer and this massive tow truck.
It's like
or massive dump truck.
We get a truly representative Arnold. Yeah,
as he jumps out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's another cool bit of action because that car got smashed like a fucking beer can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so Kaminski pops up shooting, kills the bulldozer driver. I like when he hides underneath the dump truck.
Yeah, the moving dump truck and like using it for cover. That's badass.
God, that truck is massive.
Yeah.
Like big ass Arnold Schwarzenegger is able to sort of stand upright underneath it.
It's crazy.
I'm amazed at how big those machines are.
Same.
He begins just wrecking Petrovita's stash of drugs. He goes into the trailer, starts shooting stuff up, blowing away a couple more goons. He shoots the dump truck driver right as he's coming towards the trailer.
Outside the trailer, we see the dump truck driver sort of turn his attention towards the trailer because he can, like, I guess, hear the commotion.
Yeah, he's going to ride right over that thing like Bigfoot or some shit.
Kaminski shoots him out the window of the trailer, through the windshield of the dump truck, and into the guy's head with like just one shot.
That was a stone cold kill.
And he's like nodding in approval of his own way.
That shit took his time and savored it.
Oh yeah.
Before he pulled the trigger. I thought it was awesome.
He looks very pleased as he's like looking around the trailer, like all the dead bodies like smiling in grim satisfaction.
As I said, there's drugs and cash everywhere. Do you think that's the loot from the heist?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all of this was from what they stole from the police
station? They're repackaging the money and stuff. Okay, so
getting
now
ready to clean that shit.
We cut to there's a newscast sort of detailing what had happened out there at the gravel pit, speculating that it was part of a mob war.
Right.
Now, back at the club, Petrovita, he like throws a bottle of booze at the TV and smashes it.
What a waste of good liquor.
I feel like modern TVs wouldn't give the same satisfaction of breaking them as an old glass screen, like tube TV.
It'd dent the thing and the picture would be distorted, and then it was like, oh, what a shame.
I love that. I never have broken a TV in rage in my life. I probably never will.
Same. Well, yeah, neither would I.
I would like to have at least once, just like, rah! You know.
You should chop wood or something instead.
Okay, fair enough. I have that tube TV down in my basement.
There you go. Take it out in the yard with a bat.
It up, fucking Office Space style.
Exactly. Break the fax machine.
So Patrovita, he's like, it's not a mob war, it's fucking Brenner. I want to know where he is.
Right.
You know, I think Rocca says, well, look at all that destruction. He's probably dead.
He's probably dead.
How does that make sense?
I don't. That's what I'm saying is like to be the guy that Rocca was, like, his reputation that Harry gave us at the beginning of the movie is not the guy that we've learned.
He's like the voice of reason.
Yeah,
all the time.
He is. Yeah, he is the stringer bell of this crew. He's like,
maybe we should just let a sleeping dog lie.
And Baxter's like, yeah. Baxter, who is there in the room, is like, yeah, totally.
Like, there's got to be one man left standing at the end of something like this. Right? So, just then, though, they see Brenner on their, like, security cameras, the closed circuit shit. Weird stuff was happening on that feed where, like, we see Brenner pointing a gun.
Right.
Then the feed cuts to a shot of a camera getting blown up where it's like, do you have one of your cameras pointed at another camera?
Why not? That seems like some shit that Patrovita would have. He's like, I want cameras on cameras.
I feel like this was the inspiration for Perrette from Tango and Cash.
It's like the cameras on cameras on cameras. And someone's like, yes, boss. And like,
sure.
That's exactly what happened.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Then we see Kaminski points the gun not at the camera per se, but the camera goes fuzzy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It goes out.
It doesn't really matter. I guess he got more guns, Kaminski, from the trailer. I feel like all his guns must have been in the trunk of his car, but that shit got mangled.
He only fired like 2 machine guns the whole time he was there, and he had a whole slew of other guns.
But I assume they were in that car that got just mangled.
Yeah, but the trunk was still intact.
Okay. Anyway, if nothing else, the trailer was full of shit.
Absolutely.
So he's armed up again.
Right.
Everybody, all of Patrovita's crew, they start grabbing guns.
Right.
Sven Ole Thorsen makes an appearance. It's about fucking time.
Where have you been this whole movie, you asshole?
There was another dude who looked just like Wayne Gretzky in a turtleneck.
He did totally look like Wayne Gretzky.
I love the tension that's building as they're waiting for the elevator to come down.
I like the elevator dings, and they just like...
They unload.
Yeah, they lay waste to it.
The door's open, but it's empty inside. I don't know a shit ton about elevators, but I feel like there's shit inside the doors that make them open and close.
Yeah.
Like, and the amount of bullets they put through, I feel like the doors would never have opened.
Yeah.
But well, fuck it.
Yeah. Like the elevator's empty, but the elevator keeps dinging. They hear this like grating sound.
Yeah, it's like
and everyone's
banging
like looking around confused, like, what the hell?
Kaminski, he comes sliding down this air vent and he just pops out shooting.
Right.
Now, I feel like there's a trope in movies that like air vents are huge, you know, like big enough for a dude to crawl through.
Not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Which is not the case.
No.
Maybe in a massive building they are, but like this shit was next level. Like he was standing upright inside of it.
I feel like he slid down the duct and then it came out into like a perfectly like
it was like closet size.
Like a closet size air vent.
No
space.
Fucking chance.
No.
He didn't have to like wriggle out of it or anything. He stepped out of the air vent and fucking just started laying waste to those dudes, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's picking the guys apart, like, and no one's able to hit Kaminski.
I love that in the crossfire, the club lights somehow get triggered. They like cranked up and it's like whirling around. It's like sort of disco-ish.
He's doing that John Matrix shit from where he like thrusts the gun forward like he's throwing the bullets out of the gun.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Yeah, Kaminski's shooting up the stemware at the bar.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of like bodies and broken glassware are piling up in this scene.
I do like Baxter, the fucking shady justice, like U.S. attorney dude is cowering behind the bars, the bodies pile up. The shootout to me was somewhat realistic because there was just a lot of shooting wildly and not hitting anything, as opposed to other scenes where dudes are just fucking dead eyes.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, this is just a lot of random spraying of bullets.
Right. And especially for Arnold's character, like, especially once he gets like pinned behind the bar, he's just like, we'll put the machine gun and go like drag it across the top.
What I can appreciate is that he's not hitting anyone.
Right.
It's like not like one of those situations where he's like bullseyeing everybody.
It's a diversion, but it also, again, is like eating up a tremendous amount of screen time.
So Kaminski takes a bullet in the arm, but it doesn't really slow him down.
He hardly seems to notice that he's been shot at all.
It was Wayne Gretzky, the great one, got him.
I love it. He would.
Then Kaminski blew him away. He mows down Sven Ole Thorsen with that Uzi.
A poor bulletless, like Sven ran out of bullets, and that was all she wrote.
I've watched this movie probably like 4 or 5 times in the last month or so.
Right.
And I laugh out loud every time when Sven is going down and he like grabs and rips that rack of glasses out of the ceiling.
Yeah, just like pulls it down.
It's so comical.
I thought the same thing.
So Patrovita and Rocca, they flee. They are like running up to the offices to hide. Kaminski chases after him. Strangely, Patrovita's telling Rocca to call the cops.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be the first time in the movie that the cops have interfered in any sort of gangster shit.
It's a B&E situation. I think that Patrovita must, like, if we call the cops, so we've got enough guys on the inside that'll be able to get down here.
And at least I won't die, I guess, if they got here instantly.
Or it's like supposed to loosely mean like, we've got Baxter on our side, but he's in the room.
It's
like
weird.
Baxter's there. He's implicated.
He's in the stew.
Yeah.
Kaminski like shoots through the door, kills Rocca.
But then he opens the door and kills him some more.
He shot the body? He shot the corpse?
He like shot the body through the door, opened the door, and shot him some more.
Gotta make sure.
For good measure. Jesus.
So Patrovita runs and Kaminski shoots him in the back as he's running away.
Yeah.
Is that good form?
No.
I don't like, that's not
Shoots
a
him
heroic
twice in
move.
the back with a shotgun? No.
Shot an old man in the back as he's running away.
No.
Then Kaminski, not a word spoken, pours a bowl of Mike and Ike's or whatever all over him.
This is the weirdest flex in the movie.
That makes no sense to me.
Because Patrovita has not once touched the bowl of Mike and Ike's. It'd be fine if this was the Max Keller character who was eating the candy earlier.
You like candy? Eat this.
Exactly. You're like, yeah, that would have been tremendous.
Or some
Where
shit.
the fuck was Max Keller?
It's just weird. I think they couldn't think of anything else.
See, what should have happened was that Keller should have escaped the cemetery. Kaminski would have had to chase him back downtown. Keller makes it back to the thing. Rocca gets killed in the crossfire because he's been an ineffectual bad guy from the beginning. And then in this scene, this is how Keller dies.
Yeah.
And then Patrovita ends up getting, like a Dick Jones style death at the end of RoboCop.
Yeah.
That kind of deal.
It's weird that this, like, the sort of the spree, well, I guess it doesn't culminate on Patrovita, but that, because
This is an unceremonious death for the big bad.
Well, if you think about it, Rocca, Keller, and Patrovita all got unceremonious deaths.
No, yeah. There's not one bad guy that you're like, well, okay.
Oh, he got it bad.
Yeah.
Like, there were other dudes. The dude who fell in the fucking rock smasher. That guy got a more memorable send-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even fucking the bulldozer driver, the dump truck driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. But Kaminski, he returns like to the bloodbath area where he finds this whimpering Baxter character.
Frank Fontana.
Man, that actor.
This is where he looks full on Terminator. Like he's like looking over.
Yeah.
He's looking over Baxter.
The actor Joe Rigobuto, who Frank Fontana.
Yeah.
He plays that sniveling, like, dude, that's a great performance that he gave in that moment.
Where he's like I can't get this gun to work.
Was he trying to kill himself?
I think that he was just trying to find an operational weapon.
Oh, a gun with a bullet in it?
So that he could protect himself, and he didn't realize that Kaminski was standing right there.
Okay. He was holding the gun, like, dangerously close to his own head.
I think that he was
But it also wasn't really pointed at himself.
He was trying to click, that's the thing, he's like trying to click that automatic pistol, and like, it was empty, and then he picked up the machine gun, like trying to find anything with a bullet in it.
Sure. So now Baxter, he recognizes him. He sort of tells Kaminski, this isn't what it looks like. I was setting these guys up.
Yeah.
I feel like what he should have said is, they kidnapped me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because I've been prosecuting them. Like, they want me dead.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Yeah. Kaminski has no idea why Baxter's in this room.
Now he's put himself on the hook. Although
he should have been like, oh my God, you're one of them. You're one of them, aren't you?
Like, thank you saved me.
Yeah, exactly.
Though I feel like Kaminski might have killed him either way.
Yeah, just
because he sort of hates him. Baxter says, oh my gosh, Kaminski, it's you. It's so great they let you back in the FBI.
Yeah, he says that the whole internal affairs investigation / forced resignation thing was a mistake. It was a total mistake.
Clearly. I don't know. Kaminski tells him, a lot of people are dead because of you, and now it's your turn.
Whoa. Yeah, so what? He's gonna kill Baxter now?
Cold blood, I guess, right? Like an unarmed man. But Kaminski picks up this pistol, sort of checks the chambers,
right?
Hands it to Baxter, says, resign or be prosecuted any way you want it.
The line still doesn't work.
No. Weird phrasing.
For those of you, it's like, this is the line from the first chapter of the movie, and it's still...
That's what Baxter supposedly said to him. Maybe whoever wrote that line was a big fan of the band Journey.
Any way you want it. Yeah, it's still I don't know. I've been trying to think, resign or be prosecuted.
What's he doing, though? Is he's giving Baxter a chance to kill himself?
Yeah, he's saying, kill yourself or go to jail.
You're going to go to jail over this shit? Now, then Kaminski turns his back on an armed man who immediately goes to raise the gun and shoot Kaminski.
Right.
Kaminski whirls around, shoots Baxter first.
Stand-up guy, that Baxter.
I think Kaminski just knows he can't be killed, it seems.
That's the vibe that I got through the entire shootout scene of this movie at the end.
He's like, I'm fucking bulletproof.
Is that I kept thinking of The Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yes.
It's like, I can't, and even when he gets shot, it's like,
whatever. I shrug it off and keep shooting.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Now, Baxter is definitely a bad guy, as we've seen.
Right.
But all he's done to Kaminski, to wrong Kaminski, was hold him accountable for his own brutal
That's
ways.
True. Yep.
He even let him resign in lieu of being prosecuted, which he deserved to be prosecuted, it sounds like.
And we also have to point out the fact that at no point in this scene has Kaminski proved that Baxter was the mole.
No.
There was no questioning, nothing about it. He just assumes, oh, you're here.
You're here.
You're the bad guy.
I hate you anyway.
Yeah, so you must be the problem. They're nothing. There's no confession, nothing. It'll be easier to kill him. I got to say, it's he shoots Baxter.
Uh-huh.
And in a movie mostly devoid, maybe entirely devoid of kiss-off lines, there needed to be a kiss-off line.
He didn't give him anything.
Nothing.
Huh?
He walks out of the room. And I think that maybe was this before the world realized that Arnold needs a kiss-off line? You didn't have D'Souza in the writing room for this. So
I feel like this was on whatever the transition was to realizing these movies, they need a funny.
Yeah.
They need a funny ha-ha chuckle after each memorable kill or a prominent kill. Because, Cobra had it.
Yeah, totally.
Commando had it in spades.
Over and over again.
Every kill.
2 per kill.
Multiple.
2 per kill, at
what
least.
What happened to Sully? I let him
go.
Yeah, a lot of, we'll take Cook's car. You won't be needing it. I fucking love all of that shit.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, you're right. He gave nothing. He's just in silent. He didn't even have a bowl of candy to pour over him.
Jesus. This doesn't make any sense.
It's bizarre. Later on, all types of law enforcement are at the scene. They're cleaning up the mess.
Yeah, we got our boy Baker coming back.
Baker is there. He's speculating, this guy Baxter must have been in league with Patrovita. Big leap to make.
Immediately. Why is he here? Okay.
He's right, but, whatever. One of his buddies, his cop partner or whatever, asks him, what happened here? I think somebody got very pissed off. And then he thinks he knows who it is.
Yeah.
A call comes on the radio. They say they've got a location on Patrovita's car, an Oldsmobile. We know Patrovita's a Cadillac man.
Yeah.
In his hearing, he had 4 Cadillacs or some shit. But what sort of mafia don like keeps a fleet of cars registered in his own name?
That's so like Patrovita's the dumbest mob boss in America.
He really is the worst.
He deserved to be taken out. It's like, what? You're not good at this. How did you live this long?
So Baker says, let him go, but continue to track the car. Tell me where it goes.
And I'm going to go confirm my suspicion.
Yeah, he heads out to confirm his theory. Now we're out at the airstrip. Monique is jumping out of a plane as she sees Kaminski come rolling up.
And now this is like almost like a frame for frame ripoff of Casablanca.
It's a fucking Casablanca
Just like,
knockoff.
What the fuck?
I really don't think they're about to take you on a flight like with the engines running if you haven't paid them already. But we're gonna hope like that she's slipped some money to them that she got off screen or some shit. Maybe she sexed them all up. We don't know how Monique rolls. Kaminski tells her, get back on that plane. He tosses a big bag of cash in. Now, that was cash from the trailer, I assume?
Yeah, I assume so, too.
It was in one of those big yellow bags
but
like
also,
they took out of the precinct.
We know how money works. Does she know how to launder money? Does she know how to clean bills? Like, that money's all marked, right?
Where do you think she's even going?
Chart of the plane to where?
Someplace she's going to roll up with a bag of $250,000 in cash.
She's headed out to like Idaho or something.
I mean, maybe you go overseas. I don't know where she was going.
Caymans. Head to the Bahamas, baby.
How close are you to Canada when you're at Chicago? Pretty close?
You are about 8-9 hours.
If you hop a flight,
like
though, you'd be there in an hour or two?
A flight, you'd be
just
there
fly
in a
over the
couple
lake
hours.
and you're there?
Couple hours, yeah.
Okay. We don't really know what her plan is. It hasn't been that well established.
Yeah, well, he didn't tell her where she was going.
No, he just charter a plane.
To anywhere.
Any place.
Rockford, Illinois. What?
We're going to Des Moines.
We're going to land in a cornfield.
We're heading to fucking going to fucking Davenport, Iowa or some shit. But Kaminski tells her, he's saying here you're going. She's trying to say I'm not going to go
if you're not coming with me. What?
He says, look, I'm going to be fine, but you've got to go. You got $250,000. Here's your chance at a fresh start.
She's going to gamble that money away immediately.
Oh, my gosh. We know she's fucking...
That money's going to be gone in 2 days.
She'll be dead
max.
in a few weeks. She'll have overdosed or, drunk herself into
poor
fucking...
Monique.
Yeah, she's got problems. I hope she seeks help.
I actually hope she makes it. I'm going to assume she does.
I like her style, dude. I would date her, and then it ends terribly.
I was about to say,
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done that song and dance. But she reluctantly, she gets back on the plane, waves goodbye to him. As the plane's taxiing away, a helicopter comes in for a landing.
Because that's safe. That's the way airports work, right?
Dude, yeah, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like you can't just fly a helicopter down over an airport. It'd be too dangerous. You get hit by a plane.
The airport would tell the plane, don't take off yet. There's a police helicopter
rogue
coming
helicopter flying in.
Oh, my God.
So that cop, Baker, he hops out. He says, I'm glad to see you didn't run away. Kaminski's like, I'm too tired. Then the cop says, I always thought you were a cop. Or I always suspected you were one of us.
What?
Fucking weird.
And
this whole scene, and then it just ends abruptly.
Yeah, fade. Okay.
I feel like there was more to that.
Yeah, there had to have been.
I was expecting that Casablanca moment,
how much more badass would all of that have been if Baker had shown up at some point during the shootout and saved Kaminski's bacon,
helped him,
yeah,
been like,
and then
this guy's a good guy,
and then let him pursue the big bad.
Fuck it, it
somehow.
could even be Harry at the hospital filled us in.
Yeah,
you're one of us. We're here to back you up.
Right.
Shit. Yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunities in this movie.
We need to remake it.
But the scene ends abruptly. Fade to a very weird scene.
This is the worst scene in the whole movie.
Sometime later, Harry, who had been, I guess, sort of crippled in a way.
He got shot in the shoulder, Kevin.
He's now paralyzed from the waist down.
And he got shot in the shoulder.
He's refusing to do physical therapy in this.
He's like, I don't think I can. I can't walk. I can't do it.
The nurse is trying to get him up to try to exercise his legs, sort of rehabilitate himself on this like it's one of those things,
like
there's like the support railings. You use your arms to keep you're getting your legs strong again, whatever. He's refusing. Why?
Because he doesn't think he can walk.
He's like giving up on life, seems to be the mood, right?
Yeah. He, for whatever reason, he was shot in the shoulder and now his legs don't work and he thinks he'll never be able to walk. So he thinks his life is over.
You're saying it's a psychosomatic thing.
Yes.
Okay.
But also, I think he genuinely, like, let's just assume he was shot in the spine. The character doesn't think that he can ever walk again, so what's the point in even putting up with this?
He's lost his son. He's in a bad place.
Yeah, he's depressed.
He's kind of nihilistic.
Yeah.
He's like done with life, whatever. Kaminski walks in. Things not so good, Harry?
I've seen better days.
Want to see him again? It's a callback to the scene
One of the opening scenes, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a full circle moment, whatever, from when Harry was trying to recruit Kaminski to join him. It's revealed that Kaminski's back in the FBI.
Yeah, Harry heard he's back with the Bureau.
His marriage has been repaired.
Thank God.
Huge plot points resolved off screen.
Right?
Okay. How the fuck does the FBI let him back in after the shit that's happened? I don't know.
Harry said he was going to make those strings. He was going to pull those strings. He's going to make it happen.
There's no way that him and Harry aren't in jail after what happened. But anyway.
Actually, I mean, we don't know how law enforcement works in the United States.
Fuck it.
The Justice Department's a weird place.
The FBI's like, we really like the way that you went in there and killed dozens of men. We got a place for you.
Yeah, we'd like to welcome you back into the fold, my friend.
Fucked up. Okay. Kaminski scoops Harry up. He puts him on those railings that he didn't want to use.
I need your help, Harry. My reunion with Amy was a big success. We just found out she's pregnant.
How? Whoa. I don't know. This is not a healthy marriage. I feel like this is.
Wait, what? This is a lot of information. Kaminski's like, I don't know anything about being a dad. I need you to help me. What?
I feel like Darren McGavin is acting his ass off to try to carry this scene. Where's my chair?
This is the worst scene in the movie.
Put me down. I can't do it.
Oh, he's freaking out. He's having a crisis moment.
He's going way over the top. Like a truck.
Like a machine. Like a truck.
So Kaminski says, yeah, I need you to be the godfather of my child.
Harry's like, fine, but I want my wheelchair back first.
Right. He's insisting that he can't walk. Kaminski says, well, then meet me halfway. Some fucking Lincoln Hawk logic.
The world meets no one halfway. If you want it, you got to take it.
I feel like to me, McGavin, like Harry is coaxing a good performance out of Arnold.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, like Harry's like, I can't walk.
Did you ever quit in front of Blair? Blair.
That's not how you say that name. Yeah.
Harry's face instantly goes dead ass serious.
Fuck yes.
He nuts up. He puts one foot in front of the other.
He fucking walks. He's like, I didn't think I could do it before, but motherfucker, now I can.
Yep. He makes his way across that apparatus like the fucking nurse has tears in her eyes.
Worst scene in the whole movie.
That shit killed me. She was killing it. Give that woman more work.
Yeah, she was awesome.
She turned the waterworks on. She was crying over this asshole patient. Anyway, they hug it out. There's just a real quick freeze frame and fade to black.
This movie's over.
And yeah, man, that moment killed me. Like, there's just a quick freeze frame and it's over.
I was like, wait, what?
There's no time to linger here.
None.
We got another showing in 20 minutes. Empty this theater.
We have to clean the popcorn and milk duds off the floor. Get your asses out. What the fuck just happened? That's how it ends?
That was raw deal.
All I can hear is Janet Jackson. That's how it ends?
Now, I'm going to quote from the Ebert review.
Hit me. You know I love the Ebert review.
This plot is so simple and has been told so many times before that perhaps the most amazing achievement of Raw Deal is its ability to screw it up. His thesis was like the plot, the premise is so simple, and they still managed to wreck it by trying to make it more complex, but in ways that just made no sense.
Absolutely.
Another quote, Raw Deal is like another recent movie, Cobra.
Yes.
It replaces absolutely everything. Plot, dialogue, character, logic, sanity, plausibility, art, taste, and style with a fetish for nonstop action. You want to see guys with muscles shooting machine guns at guys without muscles? Then this is the movie for you.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Cobra. The critical response of this movie, I got to say, this movie was made for between $8 and $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
At the domestic box office, it brought in 16.2.
A very modest
showing.
success.
It made 20.3 million internationally.
Okay,
a little better. The critical response was critical. But what was even more amazing about all the negative reviews this movie got was that most of them essentially read, this movie was terrible, but it still wasn't as bad as Cobra.
That's awesome. I can't wait to do a podcast about Cobra.
I feel like it's time. It's maybe it's time to cue Cobra up. Vincent Canby of the New York Times wrote at the time, it isn't exactly Oscar material. It does nothing for the cause of nonviolence. It will warm the hearts of gun lobbyists everywhere, and its final body count may even be higher than in Mr. Stallone's Cobra. Yet Raw Deal somehow manages to be measurably less offensive. At times, it's almost funny, intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's high praise.
There are jokes in this movie or moments of humor that land, which is more than I can say for Cobra.
Sheila Benson of the LA Times said, this is amazing. Has it come to this? That we can feel vaguely cheered that Raw Deal, where the bodies again pile up like cordwood, is a better made movie than Cobra.
Shit. I feel like when I watch Cobra, I can recognize, I feel like that there was a more of a budget to Cobra than to Raw Deal.
Oh, yeah. Cobra feels like a more expensive movie.
It's glossier.
Yeah.
But
it's very much more stylized.
But this, if I had to sit down and watch one or the other, I think I'd rather watch Cobra because it's a degree. It's a degree worse.
Yeah, because it's more. I would say arguably that Cobra takes more chances than this movie takes.
This movie's by the numbers. It's like, paint by numbers.
The legendary Gene Siskel gave this movie 1 out of 4 stars.
1 thumb down.
And said the movie had, quote, essentially the same story as Cobra. But it's told with so many superfluous characters that we're never really sure whose side a few key people are on. Needless to say, in a film with punch-outs, we very quickly don't care.
Shit. That's harsh. So he seems like he might have liked Cobra more.
Yeah. I think that he's the one that was just like, eh. But again, I think that goes to the point of, it's like, at least Cobra, for its part, as bad as Cobra is, and Cobra is an objectively terrible movie, it took chances artistically with different shot variety, with set design, with different atmospheric elements, even with soundtrack. I think the soundtrack of Cobra is more interesting, I think, than this. I don't know. And then Stallone's acting, if you want to call it that, it takes more chances than Schwarzenegger in this movie, who's just kind of this like derpy fish out of water kind of guy sometimes, but then also he's like sure and like cocksure and like trying to, I don't know. It's just,
do you feel like if this movie had Steven D'Souza to have done the final draft,
I think
it would have been good? It would have been Commando-ish.
Well, that's the thing is like I think that D'Souza wasn't the guy that you bring in to add or fix plot. He's the guy that you bring in to make dialogue better. And this movie is, except, like I will say, the dialogue that this movie does have, especially with some of the bad guys, is not terrible.
Yeah.
It's like when Schwarzenegger's on screen, though, it's just like everything sort of withers.
He molested, murdered, and mutilated her.
Mutilated her. It's like, Poor Arnie. That's the thing is like,
take it easy
no one sat down with him and was like, what words can you say or not say?
That's what was missing is like, the forethought, the pre-production work.
Yeah.
Of let's tailor, if we're putting Schwarzenegger in it, let's tailor make it for him.
Right. And I feel like, at that point, D'Souza, like once they started working in that vein, that it was like there was a stable of people who was like, oh, well, this is how you fix that. Give him words that he can say. Give him one-liners at the end that are going to be funny, that are going to ingratiate him to audiences.
Yeah.
Even if he's not talking throughout the movie.
Let his charms shine through, which is that he is a funny guy.
Right.
He can deliver on that shit if you help him out.
Right. Let him help you. Help him help you.
It also didn't feel like to me a Schwarzenegger movie. Like,
yeah, that's the thing overall is that it, and we talked about this earlier, is that it just feels like a movie that everything was baked. We just got to fill in who's going to star as who. Schwarzenegger's in this movie? Great. Let's see what we can do with the picture.
When you bring a Schwarzenegger and you need to tailor make it for him.
Yeah.
The same as this fucking wardrobe.
Yeah.
You put him in some shit that's too tight for him, he
looks
awkward.
Yeah.
He can't he can't relax. I feel like a lot of dudes probably could have played this part of Kaminski and played it better.
And arguably it would have been stronger, but I would, and that's what it goes back. I would have been really interested to see like how much dialogue, how many plot points got axed from the final production just because they were like,
this movie is like, it was like they took a more complex movie and tried to simplify it, but then
it made it more complex.
But then they didn't axe enough scenes because I guess they had to keep the runtime up maybe to make it whatever. Anyway, we've had this discussion before where there's a theory about Arnold movies.
Yeah.
That he doesn't become the character becomes Arnold.
Sure.
And this feels like a movie where it was kind of in a no man's land.
This is one of the few where I feel like Arnold was a fish out of water.
You didn't embrace the fact that it's Arnold. You're not fooling anyone. He's not a fucking method guy who's going to like, oh my gosh, can you believe like Arnold became this character Kaminski? No. If you want that, you cast somebody else.
Yeah.
Like this is a fucking, like they didn't let him, show off his muscles, really.
No.
They didn't, it felt like any number of 80s generic dudes could have played this part.
Yeah.
I don't know who it would have been.
I almost would have.
I mean, this is fucking Stallone character, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what it feels like.
He would have liked this part.
Exactly. Because I was thinking.
He could have rewritten it and made it himself more sexy or whatever.
Somebody that easily infiltrates an Italian mafia organization.
Yeah. If you had taken fucking Chuck Norris and stuck some fucking karate in there, it could have been interesting.
That'd been badass.
I mean, it would have been no better or worse probably than having it be Schwarzenegger.
I don't know. This movie finds a way to balance the line between being not good and not bad. It just is sort of there.
So how did this movie happen?
That's a great question.
You may ask. I had read that Arnold, I think he's a very loyal guy in the business, as it goes. He had a falling out with De Laurentiis over Red Sonja.
Right.
Basically, in Red Sonja, he'd agreed to like do a cameo in the movie, sort of, to give it some cred or whatever. Right. Reprising his sort of Conan character, although I think he had a different name in Red Sonja.
Yeah, he does.
But then De Laurentiis and the filmmakers there made his part like a lot bigger and made him basically a co-star in the movie without him really knowing what they were doing. But they didn't pay him anymore. Like they didn't count it against his contract that he had with De Laurentiis. They basically fucked him over, sounds like. So I think he wanted out of his deal with De Laurentiis. De Laurentiis was like frantically trying to, I think he was in like financial trouble, Canon film style. He was also trying to raise money to make his version of Total Recall because De Laurentiis had the rights to Total Recall.
Right.
And there was this shit like Arnold wanted to play the lead. He wanted Total Recall for himself.
Right.
And De Laurentiis was like, no, this isn't a good part for you. So they had a falling out. He agreed to be in this movie raw deal for De Laurentiis if De Laurentiis would let him out of his contract. And De Laurentiis was like, yes, and this is I'll make so much money off a Schwarzenegger flick. I'm gonna finance Total Recall off that. The movie, obviously, as we said, didn't make the money that they were hoping for. I think De Laurentiis' version of Total Recall was going to have Swayze playing the lead. I don't know how that would have gone.
Yeah, I don't know how the rewrites would work. Like probably a much different version of a script.
Yeah.
Maybe something more Blade Runner-ish. Who knows?
But it obviously didn't work out that way for De Laurentiis. This movie didn't make the money, I guess, they'd hoped for. But then later on, Schwarzenegger convinced the people at Coralco Studios to basically help bail De Laurentiis out of his trouble by buying Total Recall from him, buying the rights to Total Recall. I think he, even though he was pissed at De Laurentiis and all that, it was like a mutually beneficial thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they paid a lot of money to Dino De Laurentiis for the Total Recall rights, because Arnold wanted that for himself, and he had for years,
That sounds like the story of Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner relationship, where he gave her start, and then she started this meteoric rise.
She got bigger than
him. He super resented it. Like, rumors were flying all around town, and then she wanted out of her contract. And when he finally, basically, she was like, I'll write the song, give you the rights to it. Blah, blah, blah. Wrote "I Will Always Love You," and she wrote 2 hits in one day.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
She's awesome.
She's like the Mozart of country music at that time.
She was in the fucking zone.
But
man.
Porter Wagoner held it over her for years and was had it out for her. But then later on, she basically bailed him out of financial trouble and paid for his kids to go to college or some shit.
She's a fucking saint.
Yeah,
man.
she's having a big moment here in the zeitgeist, and rightfully so. But that's sort of what that story sounds like, where Arnold's had respect for Dino.
You fucked me, but you did give me Conan the Barbarian. You gave me my start.
I am.
You gave me a chance, maybe when no one else was willing to let me be a lead. I think Conan. I think Arnold's a stand-up dude.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he was loyal,
people,
and he did this dude a favor after the fact. It was maybe self-serving, whatever.
People all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, it's some people are good people and some are bad people, and Arnold's a good person.
I feel Arnold's got grace.
Yeah.
He's a dude who doesn't want to see anything bad happen to anybody, especially someone who's helped him.
Yeah, agreed.
So as we've said, the movie, I think you mentioned the budget.
Yeah.
What I read was $8.5 million
for
it. Made 16. It was not the blockbuster they would have hoped for.
Right.
In 1986, there were some strong movies that year.
Yeah.
I feel like the 80s in general were strong. Just a great variety of stories.
You'll never be able to again think of it what. Oh, you remember that movie came out in 2021? No,
you can never run through any year in the last 20 that has had the variety and the quality of movies from a generic any year you could pick from the 80s.
Those days are gone, especially now with streaming. They're done.
So top grossing flicks from 86.
Hit me.
Top Gun.
That movie sucks. I'm just kidding. That movie's awesome.
I love that shit. I'm ready for that sequel.
I am too.
Out. I want to see it on a big screen.
Yeah, definitely.
The sound and the IMAX and everything. Number 2, Crocodile Dundee.
One of the first movies I ever saw. Maybe the first movie I ever saw in the theater.
Movie.
It's great.
I love that movie.
That might be one that we need to queue up, because that's
we could do it, dude, soon.
Yeah.
I just bought the double Blu-ray, that and part 2.
Love it. Yeah,
part
that movie's awesome. Yeah.
But part 1 is such a fucking perfect movie.
Part 1 is really good.
Platoon.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Killer. Karate Kid Part 2.
Yeah. I love that one.
Star Trek 4. Don't know it.
Mm-mm.
But other action movies from that year. Aliens.
Ooh.
That was, I think, number 6 or 7.
A little old film.
Highest grossing. My favorite action movie of all time. Aliens.
It's tremendous. It's an achievement. Yeah.
Cobra, as we've mentioned a few times. Big Trouble in Little China.
Greatest movie ever made.
You know what your pal Jack Burton always says at a time like this.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
The Golden Child also came out, which I've heard
that's another one we need to do.
Heard you praise. Yeah, I've never seen it.
So good.
Iron Eagle, one of my personal favorites, came out that year.
Chappie.
Other rando movies that came out that year: Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Great movie.
Killer.
Another Chicago themed movie.
Yeah, Howard the Duck.
There's a soft
I grew
spot.
up watching the shit out of that.
Did you see Leah Thompson said something about like directing
a part 2 or a remake,
a sequel?
or
yeah, some remake.
I'm into it.
I am too. I'm like, let her go for it.
I love the first one. Dude, did she fuck Howard the Duck in the first movie? Did they fuck?
They didn't
show it.
They didn't during the course of the movie, but I think.
Oh, you don't think there was a moment where they were like sort of bedding down a little bit? There was an insinuation that they almost did, but
you
don't think it happened?
I think by the end of the movie, maybe they have.
Okay,
but I don't think they do during the course of the movie.
That's
proper.
A fucking wild movie.
It's so crazy.
Me and my sisters used to watch that shit so much, and we loved it unironically when we were 10. But
same. I loved that movie.
I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, we should rewatch it sometime.
Flight of the Navigator came out.
That movie
you
fucks
grew up watching
hard.
That?
Yes.
I loved that shit. Paul Rubens is the voice of the ship.
That movie is one of those movies where it was almost like a fever dream in retrospect, thinking about it. And you're like, God, I wish something epic like that would happen to me. Like, I just wish that I would be on a spaceship and doing a fucking thing like that. That was so cool.
It reminds me of one of my favorite movies called The Explorers.
That movie is amazing.
You like that one?
Yeah, I love
with
that
the
movie.
young River Phoenix, young Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
The nerdy kids who it's like a better version of the Goonies.
Yeah. It is outstanding.
I love The Explorers.
The Explorers Explorer was a great TBS or TNT feature that would come on the weekends.
Speaking of TBS features that come on the weekends, from '86, The Boy Who Could Fly came out that year.
That movie is awesome. Wow, that's a deep cut.
That's a deep fucking flick.
Yeah.
I liked that movie.
I really liked it too.
Young Fred Savage squirting piss on bullies.
Big wheels.
Yeah. There's no water in this gun. Squirt some piss all over him from a super soaker or some shit. Love that.
That movie was awesome.
But also, Legend came out that year. Kind of flopped. But
I love
visually.
That movie. Yeah, that movie is insane.
Ridley Scott's got a hell of an eye. If he doesn't always pick the best projects.
Yeah. But that movie's not, that's the thing, is that it's not bad. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. The world was already primed for sword and sorcery.
Yeah.
It had been like,
they were late. They were too late or too early. Or
I think that movie it was just like so much. It was so conceptual. And
audiences didn't know what to make of it. It was like too cerebral for kids, probably.
Yeah.
And it was too childlike for grown-ups, maybe.
It was dark. It's a dark movie.
I would love to see how they marketed that movie. Like, did they market it as a child's movie, or did they market it towards adults?
I seem to remember
nerds?
seeing trailers and it being like very, battle of light against dark and like that sort of thing.
So appealing to like the Lords of the Ring crowd type.
Yeah, but it's like I would love to see the box office numbers and see how much more money Willow made than that movie.
Legend was down on the list. It bombed.
Yeah.
Labyrinth was that year too. Just like movies that people are like touchstones.
Stands the test of time.
I'll just mention quickly Blue Velvet and The Fly.
Ooh.
Came out that year. A couple of awesome filmmakers making awesome movies.
Blue Velvet's so good.
And The Fly, Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Wow. 1986, really bringing
solid fucking movies.
Like
Name any year from the aughts or the last 20 years that have had a variety of quality movies that you'll look back on years later. A dozen great flicks.
That's the thing, is that a lot of them you'll think back and be like, there was a really outstanding individual performance in that movie by Daniel Day-Lewis or so-and-so. And it was like, or Gary Oldman, and be like, man, he was awesome in that movie. But the rest of that movie was like,
I think that wraps us up for Raw Deal. I'm happy to have gone back to the well of Arnold.
Everyone go back and find this movie on Amazon or pop in your
chilling
Blu-ray.
on HBO right now for the time being.
Put it on in the background, smoke a bowl, do whatever, and just like enjoy the fuck out of it, because it's fun.
Throw
it's
a frozen pizza in, get a 6-pack.
Yes.
And watch the shit, because you won't be disappointed.
No.
Like you said, I think in the first episode, it ain't boring.
No, it's not boring at all. It's entertaining. It is. It
keeps
is
it
entertaining,
moving.
and it's brisk, and it moves right along.
Yeah, they don't give you a chance to question the plot holes.
No.
That's what we're here for.
That's right. That's why you listen to this podcast. You watch the movie, then you come back and see if you agree with our assessment.
Well, I think you're all great. Thanks for listening. Thanks to our friends on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network.
Thank you, everyone.
For giving us another second home.
Yes, indeed.
And we'll be back.